people don't like waves. So to give those people more comfort, Big Sir Waterbeds reinvented the waterbed to remove the waves.
Sandwich.
No.
Okay.
Give them the big, bold buckwheats taste at breakfast.
Pass the buck, pass the buck.
The 1970s were a wild ride. Disco balls, bell bottoms, and avocado-colored everything. It was a time when phones had cords, and you'd have to wait for hours for a Polaroid to develop. But as groovy as the 70s were, a lot of the iconic things from that decade have completely disappeared. It's like someone snapped their fingers and poof, gone. Let's be real, some of these things had a good run and were better left behind. Looking at you, shag carpeting. But others? Well, we'd be lying if we didn't miss them just a little. So, get ready to take a look at some 1970s gems that have vanished into history. First up, we have a gaming legend that sparked a revolution, Atari video game. Consoles, it's the granddaddy of gaming. Imagine you're huddled around a boxy TV, joystick in hand, battling pixelated aliens or racing cars that look more like rectangles than actual vehicles. The Atari 26000, released in 1977, introduced home gaming to the masses with iconic titles like Space Invaders and Pac-Man. The thrill of hearing "Game Over" after a valiant effort was a rite of passage for many. However, as technology advanced, these relics were replaced by sleek consoles boasting graphics so real you can almost smell the virtual pizza. Today, vintage Atari consoles are just someone's cherished collectibles. Next up, let's dive into a breakfast staple that had its moment in the sun. Buckwheat cereal. This was the breakfast of champions for a hot minute. Buckwheat cereal gained popularity in the early 70s as a nutritious option that promised to kickstart your day. Imagine waking up to a bowl of buckwheat goodness, feeling like you were doing your body a favor. Packed with fiber and nutrients, it was marketed as a health-conscious choice. But then came the recipe change in 1983 that made everyone go, "What is this?" The taste and texture shifted dramatically. Poof, buckwheat vanished faster than your willpower at a donut shop. Today, it's just a distant memory, like that time you thought you could pull off bell bottoms, turning our focus to an innovative breakfast item that didn't quite make the cut. Toaster eggs. If you were a fan of breakfast innovation, or just really liked convenience, this one might ring a bell. Toaster eggs hit the market in 1972 as an attempt to revolutionize breakfast by combining eggs and toaster technology. These little pockets of joy were supposed to rival Pop-Tarts, but flopped harder than a bad stand-up comedian. They promised crispy goodness with minimal effort. However, consumers quickly realized they weren't quite as delicious as advertised. By 1975, they were toast. Now let's talk about a magazine that turned heads and raised eyebrows. Playgirl magazine. The magazine that made waves by flipping the script on adult content. Launched in 1973, Playgirl was like the cool cousin of Playboy, offering a cheeky peek at male models, along with articles that made you giggle and blush at the same time. It became popular among women seeking something different from traditional men's magazines. Featuring both serious journalism and playful content, Playgirl carved out its niche during an era of sexual liberation. However, as trends shifted and tastes evolved throughout the 80s and 90s, Playgirl faded into obscurity like your high school crush who now works in accounting. Now let's talk about something that had us all sweating bullets: gas station lines. Remember when filling up your tank felt like waiting for a roller coaster ride? The oil crisis of the 1970s had everyone sweating bullets while standing in line longer than it took to watch an entire movie. Gas shortages turned filling stations into battlegrounds, with cars lined up for blocks and tempers flaring. People would strategize their trips, hoping to avoid the dreaded out-of-gas sign at their favorite station. Thankfully, those days are gone, unless you count the occasional long wait during holiday travel. Today, we fill up without breaking a sweat, often taking for granted the convenience we have. Next up is an iconic childhood favorite that stretched our imaginations. Silly putty for comics. This stretchy wonder was not just for squishing. It was also your ticket to reproducing comic strips in glorious detail. Kids would gleefully press their silly putty onto newspapers, only to discover it didn't quite work as advertised. Who knew? Despite its limitations, silly putty became a beloved toy, often found in Easter baskets and birthday gifts alike. The thrill of pulling off a comic strip and watching it stretch was unmatched. Now it's mostly used for stress relief or as an odd desk accessory. But hey, if you still have some lying around, give it a whirl. You might just bring back some childhood memories. Let's not forget about something that ruled classrooms with its quirky charm. Ditto machines. The aroma of fresh Ditto copies wafting through classrooms was intoxicating. Or maybe that was just the smell of ink fumes. Ditto machines were once the backbone of educational printing, allowing teachers to produce worksheets and handouts quickly. These machines used a unique process involving wax paper and alcohol-based inks, creating those iconic purple copies that students loved to sniff. However, they were replaced by modern printers faster than you can say paper jam. While they may be obsolete now, Ditto machines hold a special place in our educational history, reminding us of simpler times when copying was an adventure in itself. Now let's take a trip down memory lane with an old school essential. Pencil cases with slide rules. If you were lucky enough to own one of these beauties, you were basically the Einstein of your classroom. Slide rules were all the rage until calculators showed up and made math feel like magic. They were essential tools for students tackling everything from basic arithmetic to advanced physics. Owning a pencil case with a slide rule was like having a secret weapon against math homework. Now, they're about as common as rotary phones, so if you still have one tucked away somewhere, congratulations. You're officially an antique collector. While technology has evolved significantly since then, slide rules symbolize a time when math required skill and precision, rather than just pressing buttons. Next up is something that had kids swinging high and sliding fast. Brutal playground equipment. Remember those metal slides that felt like they could double as frying pans? Or swings that seemed designed for aerial acrobatics? Those were the days when playground safety was merely a suggestion. Kids would launch themselves off swings and slide down steep metal slides that could scorch your skin on hot summer days. Playground equipment from the 70s prioritized fun over safety. Injuries were just part of the experience. Thankfully, today's equipment is much kinder to our fragile bodies, featuring softer materials and safer designs. So, if you survived those playgrounds unscathed, wear that badge with pride. You're practically invincible. Now let's talk about a bedding trend that rocked our sleep world. Waterbeds. Who could forget this wobbly wonder? Waterbeds promised comfort, but often delivered an experience akin to sleeping on a wave pool. They became synonymous with 70s luxury living, complete with floral prints and funky frames. The sensation of floating on water was appealing at first, but could lead to awkward moments when one partner moved. While they had their moment in the sun, often featured in sitcoms and movies, they've since sunk into obscurity. Waterbeds may not be making a comeback anytime soon, but they remain a nostalgic reminder of the quest for ultimate comfort. Next on our nostalgia trip is something that had us laughing out loud. National Lampoon magazine. This cheeky publication had everyone laughing out loud with its satirical take on life and culture. National Lampoon became synonymous with irreverent humor and sharp wit during its heyday in the 70s. It tackled everything from politics to pop culture with hilarious articles and outrageous illustrations that pushed boundaries. It was like having your funny friend write everything down for mass consumption. However, as humor evolved and taste changed, it faded into history by 1998. If only we could bring back those hilarious antics. Maybe we'd finally get some good laughs again. Now let's reminisce about toys that sparked frenzied shopping sprees. Cabbage Patch Kids, original. While technically starting in '83, these quirky dolls had roots in '70s creativity. Cabbage Patch Kids sparked frenzied shopping sprees and even brawls in toy stores, a true testament to their popularity. With their unique faces and soft bodies, these dolls captured the hearts of children everywhere. Parents camped out overnight just to snag one during holiday shopping madness. Now, they sit quietly on shelves or occasionally pop up at thrift stores as nostalgic treasures. Cabbage Patch Kids remain an enduring symbol of childhood joy and the lengths parents will go to make their kids smile. Next up are music cartridges that rocked our world before they vanished. 8-track tapes. These chunky music cartridges ruled the '70s with their unique blend of nostalgia and inconvenience. 8-tracks were popular for car stereos. You'd pop one in only to have it jam halfway through your favorite song. Classic. With their distinctive sound quality and ability to hold multiple albums, they offered music lovers something special at the time. However, as cassette tapes gained popularity due to their portability and better sound quality, 8-tracks began to fade into obscurity. Now they're more likely found in thrift stores than in actual use. If you still have an 8-track player lying around, consider yourself an audio archaeologist. Now let's talk about capturing memories before smartphones took over. Film cameras. Capturing memories, one click at a time. If only we could remember where we put those negatives. Film cameras had their heyday in the 1970s, allowing families to document everything from birthday parties to vacations with a satisfying click. These cameras required a bit of skill and patience, as each roll of film limited the number of shots you could take. Remember the excitement of waiting for your film to be developed, only to find out half of them were blurry? If you've still got one gathering dust in your closet or being used as an art piece, congratulations. You're officially part of typewriter history. While digital photography has taken over, film cameras have seen a resurgence among enthusiasts who appreciate their unique aesthetic and the tangible nature of film. Next up is something that had us singing during lunchtime. Bologna sandwiches with Oscar Mayer jingle. Who didn't grow up singing "My Bologna Has a First Name"? This catchy tune made lunchtime feel like a concert event. The Oscar Mayer jingle became an anthem for kids everywhere, turning the humble Bologna sandwich into a lunchtime superstar. Packed with flavor, or so we thought, these sandwiches were a staple in school lunches, often paired with potato chips and fruit snacks. But let's be real, Bologna has seen better days. Today's kids are more likely munching on avocado toast than these meaty delights. So, if you're feeling nostalgic for those simpler times, or just curious, grab some Bologna and belt out that jingle. It's a tasty reminder of childhood that still brings smiles, even if it's not on the menu anymore. Now let's groove into something that rocked our airwaves. Classic rock radio stations. These stations were once the heartbeat of music lovers everywhere, playing everything from Led Zeppelin to Fleetwood Mac on repeat. Classic rock radio defined an era, providing a soundtrack for road trips, parties, and late-night jam sessions. DJs became local legends, introducing listeners to new hits and deep cuts alike. However, as tastes shifted and formats changed faster than hairstyles in the 80s, many classic rock stations disappeared into thin air. If you're lucky enough to find one still rocking out today, crank it up and enjoy the nostalgia. These stations not only shaped musical tastes, but also created communities around shared love for rock music. So, tune in and relive those unforgettable moments when rock ruled the airwaves. Let's take a stroll down fashion memory lane with styles that defined an era. Funky fashion trends. Who could forget these flared wonders? Bell-bottoms swept through closets like wildfire, making everyone feel groovy until they tripped over their own hems. These pants became synonymous with 70s fashion, often paired with colorful shirts and platform shoes. The style was all about self-expression and rebellion against conventional norms. While styles come and go faster than trends on TikTok today, bell-bottoms remain an iconic symbol of 70s flair. They made appearances in music videos and on runways, proving their lasting impact on fashion history. So, if you've got an old pair stashed away somewhere or see them making a comeback, embrace them with open arms. After all, fashion is cyclical, and who doesn't love a good throwback? Next up is something that promised instant memories, but often left us waiting. Polaroid instant film cameras. These beauties promised instant memories with just one click. And who didn't love shaking them like an impatient toddler? Polaroid cameras revolutionized photography by allowing users to capture moments and watch them develop right before their eyes. The excitement of watching your photo emerge from the camera was unmatched. While Polaroids are making somewhat of a comeback today with new models, those original 70s versions are now treasures from yesteryear. They encapsulated the joy of spontaneity in photography. If you've got an old Polaroid lying around collecting dust, consider giving it some love. After all, nostalgia never goes out of style. Dust off that camera and capture new memories while celebrating the charm of instant photography. Finally, let's wrap things up with a cultural movement that changed everything. Hippie culture is mainstream. This vibrant movement brought peace signs and tie-dye shirts into everyday life. And who doesn't love free love? The hippie culture of the 60s and 70s emphasized peace, love, and harmony while challenging societal norms. Music festivals like Woodstock became iconic symbols of this era, uniting people through music and shared ideals. While elements remain today, think music festivals, the full-blown hippie lifestyle has faded into history books faster than you can say flower power. Many aspects of hippie culture influenced modern values around sustainability and social justice. And if you've ever embraced your inner flower child or rocked out at Woodstock, wear that badge proudly. You're part of an unforgettable era that shaped our cultural landscape. If this blast from the past brought back some memories or a little disbelief at how different things were, go ahead and hit that like button. Got any 70s relics we missed? Drop them in the comments. We want to hear what you're nostalgic for. And don't forget to subscribe for more trips down memory lane. And of course, tap that bell icon so you never miss a future flashback.